if you love Lexus, then you must love Toyota. You have to. That's just the way it is. If you like one, you have to like the other. So let's see. Does this Toyota Camry 2021 all-wheel drive deserve your love? I think so. We're about to find out why that is. So let's take this out for a spin. Now there's a couple of things to note. So 2021, okay? Slight changes, little updates here and there. Actually, even the exterior got a little refresh. So let's talk about that exterior. So this is a very spicy looking automobile, that's for sure. I really like the way that this car looks. I mean, it is one of the most striking designs out there. I mean, I love it, man, because sedans really do need to make a comeback. And I want to see more sedans out on the road like this, because this thing just looks great. And I mean, if it was like some foreign whip, you know, like Pininfarina, all that stuff, people will be going nuts for this thing. But because it's a Toyota, it's not really properly getting the respect that it deserves. But I'm here to make sure that it does. But you let me know in the comment section, do you like the way that this vehicle looks? For some, it might be too much, but for me, it's just right. Actually, if you want more, you can just get the TRD version, actually, and that's actually the cheapest way of getting the V6 as well. But let's go ahead, merging onto the highway here. It is a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, of course. That is the only engine option you can get with the all-wheel drive. And I must say, merging onto the highway, this thing is so quiet. This is the biggest advantage of this Toyota Camry, is just how isolated this car is. Actually, I'm doing a very good speed right now, and it's just the typical kind of wind buffeting that you get, which is absolutely normal. Even luxury cars have that. But there's no stupid wind noise or hissing effect or anything like that. And another thing, this car is so stable at speeds. That's what I love about this thing. As a daily driver, this thing really exceeds. Now, I will say this car is not very fast, especially when you have it up to speed and you want more. You know, that's not what this is. In fact, this is one of the slower 4-cylinders I have experienced. Usually, I don't really complain about like naturally aspirated 4-cylinders too much, you know, the stuff that makes, you know, 185, 170 horsepower. I usually don't complain about it. And this 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, this thing produces 202 horsepower in this case and about 182 pounds-feet of torque. It's down like 1 horsepower and like 2 pounds-feet of torque from a front-wheel drive version, which I've driven. I've driven the XSE. And apparently the XSE makes an additional 3 horsepower because it's got a sport-tuned exhaust. So there's that. You know, once again, let's go ahead and test out that handling here again. So another thing with the SE and the XSE, they get a sport tuned suspension. Do they make a difference? A little bit. This has a little bit of a roll in it, of course. It's to be expected. It's a comfy family sedan, but brakes are great. Love that. Everything about the driving experience is so natural and so effortless to drive. This is the all-wheel drive model. So this was actually introduced in 2020, and this is important because this really makes this vehicle far more versatile and far more usable to more people in more regions. This is actually like a perfect kind of New York taxi now, basically, right? But unfortunately, you cannot get that glorious V6 with the all-wheel drive. That would have been perfection, but oh well. But transfer cases, even the multi-link rear suspension, that has actually been adopted from the RAV4 because they all kind of sit on the same platform, the TNGA-K front-wheel drive platform. And yes, this is the reworked brand new platform that is one of the most rigid front-wheel drive platforms that they have created. Even takes advantage of laser screw welding, all these things, right? It's a great platform. This is definitely one of the best handling Camrys ever produced, that's for sure. And ride quality is definitely incredible too. So 18-inch wheels on this particular model. You could get 19s if you wanted to. LE models come with 17-inch wheels. And other things that have been adopted are the propeller shaft out of the brand new Highlander. And all this stuff was definitely modified for a sedan platform like this and the Avalon, because the Avalon also comes in all-wheel drive, and that too only comes in a 4-cylinder. So if you thought you could jump yourself up to the Avalon and you thought you could get a V6 all-wheel drive, no, sorry, still comes with the same 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, direct and port injected, mind you. And yeah, my only real drawback with this car is the lack of speed. I mean, even in the RAV4, I felt like there was more of an urgency with the way the engine and transmission would react. But in this, I do like the 8-speed transmission. I mean, 99% of the time it's great. That 1% of the time I do see it kind of being a little bit confused there. But for the most part, I really like this transmission and engine combination. It's just a little bit of a dog, very kind of slow. It's one of the slower vehicles in the class. It's the only thing. But I'll tell you one thing, okay? Driving this car, it definitely brings you into a realm of reality. Because of the lack of enthusiasm out of this motor, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be driving at a far more chill manner, okay? Now, I've been pushing it because I need to test this vehicle out, see how the all-wheel drive and everything reacts. But for the most people out there, okay, this vehicle is going to kind of teach you how to be a better driver, to be honest with you, because you're forced to, you know, double check yourself before you just whip this car out in the middle of traffic or oncoming traffic. You know what I'm saying? You really got to think twice. You got to look ahead, all this stuff, because it just doesn't have that much power. You can't just drive it like an idiot. I will say the all-wheel drive is fantastic. It does send up to 50% of the power to the rear wheels, like a typical all-wheel drive system in this class. And yeah, when you're driving on the highway, it will cut off the rear wheel drive. It just becomes front-wheel drive to save fuel. So very smart system, of course, typical. And it definitely does provide great grip. This thing does have 18-inch wheels, like I mentioned, and 235 wide tires in all four corners. I like the 235 wide tires because it's a good width over the typical 225s you see in this type of class of vehicle. And there's hardly any tire noise either, so that's great. Wind noise, like I mentioned, is also very minimal. I love the NVH refinements that they have created here. Steering weight is just perfect. I mean, the way it reacts, the way it rides, it's just great. Just makes it for a great, plush, daily driver, and I love that, man. That's why, even though there's a lack of horsepower here, this might be the model I would personally have to go with because it just makes sense. Now, this is actually the XLE model. This one, the way it's spec'd out, this is a press car, obviously, so it's got all the gizmos and gadgets, and that's up to you if you want to spend that kind of money, 36 grand. Me personally, I would just get a SE model, and I would just spec that out, get a few options, and the one that I spec'd out was about $28,500. That's how I would personally do it, because you have another option of getting, you know, if you want to stay in the Lexus family, of course, you can get the ES250 all-wheel drive. It just came out. It's a brand new model. Honestly, if you're going to get that, it has the same exact four-cylinder as this. You might as well just save the cash and get this, honestly. And again, this is a hot-looking ride. You know, people take it seriously when you pull up in this thing. This thing's got swagger, baby. I like that, so that's good. And it's just I don't see the need to step up to the ES250 all-wheel drive. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit more refined. I just drove an ES350 F Sport, and yeah, it's a nice car. I love the ES, of course, but you know, just save the cash. This is a good model, and it looks really good too. But is it for everybody? I mean, it seems that way. I mean, it's been America's most favorite sedan for the last 18 years, right? So there's that. This thing weighs about 3,500 pounds, close to 3,600 pounds, I guess, and the all-wheel drive system adds about 165 pounds. There is no loss of interior space or trunk space with the all-wheel drive. It's the exact same as a rear-wheel drive. We're about to check that on the interior segment, but yeah, in my past few days of driving this vehicle, it's been very satisfactory. You do have to adjust. I mean, if you're used to driving normal cars, then this is going to be a no-brainer, no issues for you. But if you're coming from some, you know, ridiculous high horsepower vehicle, you definitely got to make some adjustments. You can't, like I mentioned, pull out and do random things like you want to. You can't just do that, okay? Got to be a little bit more careful in this. But grip is sensational. More people up north can now utilize this thing. You don't need to step up to a SUV anymore. This is great. Revs out to a little over 6,500 RPMs. It's a nice car, man. Nice car. You can't really argue with it. For a normal car, you can't argue with it. This is leaps and bounds ahead of like the previous generation Camrys that I have checked out. This is a good car, man. It's a good driving car. Lots of confidence here. I'll end off on this. I mean, there's a lot of competition now, okay, from the Koreans now, from Honda, basically. Honda, very capable car, the best handling vehicle in the class. You got the Mazda 6, another fantastic machine. High quality interiors. Based on the Korean vehicles, they come in at a great price point, offer you a lot of pragmatic features that human beings actually want. and they look great too, and they're very comfortable. So why choose this? Because this is tried and true. This might not be the best car in the class. I'm not even saying that remotely, actually. I think the Honda handles better, and I think there's could kind of sort of be some more value in the Korean cars. I do feel like they're kind of stepping up their price a little bit, I've noticed, as they're getting some credibility. But for the most part, you buy this because it's tried and true, and it is so solid. This is the most well-built car in the class, basically. And we're about to check that out in the interior segment. So with that, I'll see you guys in the interior. So now that we are parked, let's go ahead and let's talk about this interior, because this vehicle has about 1,400 miles on it. It is a press vehicle, like I mentioned. So not too many miles, but I have to say this is still the most solid interior in the class for sure. It's just very well built, very tight, absolutely no creaks and rattles for sure. So that is one of the best parts about this vehicle. So you're looking at this car, you know, you might like the Toyota Lexus brand. Maybe you don't want to quite splurge on a Lexus yet. Just know you're getting a very solid vehicle here as well. And this is where this vehicle kind of trumps like the Korean vehicles, like the K5. Sonata is pretty good, but even still, amongst the competition, I just feel like this is just a well-built cabin space. It doesn't utilize the absolute best materials or anything like that. You know, there's obviously use of plastics and all that stuff, but it's just well tight and put together. So that's why I don't mind it at all. And it's just a comfortable space too. Seats are great. It's kind of like this ash colored interior, and I like the design of them, but they're also extremely comfortable. You have heated and cooled seats here, and they do work extremely well here, so that's a great thing. Now, I will have to say, because this is the XLE trim, to get some of the features I'm talking about here, like the pano roof, the cold weather package, all this stuff is kind of bundled together in like this $4,700 package. So very expensive. That's what drives this car up to about a $36,000 MSRP, and that's why I'm saying, if you like this car, just step it down to the SE trim. But let's keep going. Let's keep talking about it. You have more features here, like the heated steering wheel. However, I will say it only kind of heats up the sides here, really trying to promote that, you know, 9-3 grip, I suppose. You know, they don't want you just putting a wrist on top of the 12 o'clock position. It's good. That's good. I respect that. And you have one-touch up and down windows for all four windows. And I mentioned this vehicle is very quiet, but it actually does not utilize double pane glass or anything like that. They don't really have to, because it's just a very quiet space in here regardless. So that's nice. I like the kind of leather-wrapped steering wheel. Very soft, very nice thing to grip onto here, so that's good. Got some buttons on here as well, volume controls, track selection here. And another thing, for 2021, you have this new Toyota Smart Sense 2.5 Plus. Okay, that's their kind of safety features. Okay, so you get a lot of that here. So if you want to opt for that, well, there you go. If you suck at driving, please do all of us a favor and take advantage of that Smart Plus 2.5 safety features, because you're going to need it if you suck at driving. So there you go. A car can help you out there. 8-speed trans, traditional gear lever selector, so that's great. Got two nice cup holders. You even have a wireless charging pad, and that kind of stows away your phone, so it helps you to not be distracted. And you even have a larger cubby space underneath that, which is nice. USB connectivity as well. I like how the parking brake automatically comes on when you put the vehicle in park. Love that feature. You even have a USB and USB port inside the armrest here, and the armrest is a great size, so I do like that. Love the climate control. Like the way that it is totally separated from the screen. You have a 7 and a 9-inch floating display now. That's their new kind of thing that they've done. It's fine, you know, it works okay. This is a little bit more cleaned up, and I appreciate that. It's not too difficult to use. Large screen here, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, of course. I will say this whole screen is shrouded in this piano black. There's a large attraction of debris, particles, dust, and it is showing on the piano black plastic. So make sure you have a small little brush handy so you can kind of clean this interior up a little bit, but otherwise it is fully functional. Now, another thing, this vehicle's got the JBL audio system, okay, 800 watts, 9 speakers, I believe, and it's very bass heavy. So if you like more bass in your audio system, well, this might be the one for you. I like how Mark Levinson is a nice kind of balanced audio. This is more like juvenile and, you know, more bass heavy. It's up to you if that's worth it to you. The SE model I talked about that I would personally get, that I said was about $28,500 with the all-wheel drive, with blind spot monitoring package, as well as like the heated kind of climate package. It's about $2,000. That's what brings up the price to about $28,500. This about $36,000 gets you the JBL Audio 2. Standard sound system is like a 6 speaker, and I have not heard it, so I don't know. Again, good amount of space in here. Feels spacious, airy. That's great. Larger, taller people can definitely fit in here. It's got, even with the pano sunroofs. Decent space in the glove box as well. So some other nice features here. You know, automatic headlights, automatic high beams, nice camera system here. 360 camera actually in this particular model. Again, great if you don't know how to back in the car. And so that is a look at the front seats. Now let's go ahead and let's talk about the rear seat. So this vehicle is about 195 inches long, I believe. So a nice little mid-sized vehicle. Again, like I mentioned, nice little New York taxi now, basically. And there's zero sacrifice in interior space if you get the all-wheel drives. Good legroom space, good tow room underneath the seats here. Very comfortable back there as well, like I already mentioned. You got some vents back there, no heated seats or anything like that back there, but you got the vents, which is great. And again, headroom is not an issue, so that's fantastic as well. Now let's go ahead and let's talk about the trunk. Trunk is also massive, good sized trunk basically. And the seats fold down 60/40, which is an advantage over the ES where the seats don't fold down at all. So great amounts of practicality because of that, and you even have a spare tire underneath. So you can fit a lot of things in here. It's a very pragmatic vehicle. Toyota continues to be pragmatic. And another thing, I really like the way that this car drives, because this car, yes, it's one of the more reactive chassis that a Camry has ever had, but they never lost that Toyota soul, like that Toyota magic that I keep mentioning in some of these reviews, because I keep mentioning nothing else drives like a Toyota, and I'm glad they haven't lost that here. It's a very kind of addictive feeling. I can see why owners of these things keep coming back to it and why the sales keep increasing because of that. When they upgrade in vehicle, they tend to stay within the Toyota family. That's because they have like this feel that Honda, you know, Mazda, the Korean cars, they just don't have this feeling and this sensation. I can't quite explain it. I mean, everything about a Toyota has its own unique smell, its own unique feel that just cannot be replicated, not even in a Lexus. So it's got that familiarity to it that I think a lot of owners are going to like, and I'm glad they haven't sacrificed that here. So that's one of the main reasons why I like it. The main cons I've noticed, it's not very quick, even compared to its kind of sister cars like the RAV4. I don't understand that. And obviously, more roll in the chassis. This is not like the most dynamic vehicle in the class, despite the great chassis that it already sits upon. It does utilize strut-based suspension, of course, in the front, and the kind of reworked multi-link that you find in the RAV4 for this all-wheel drive model. But other than that, I really enjoyed driving this car, and I want people to take advantage of the V6 offering because there's not a lot left, and that's why I really respect Toyota for having that as an option. But I think for a lot of people, this all-wheel drive 4-cylinder will do it. This has a lot of capability. It's a good year-round vehicle and a good daily driver. So if you're an owner, leave your thoughts below, and I'd like to hear them. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and goodbye.